difficult. I understand that it's hard for you, but you can't continue to blame anyone. Your healing is your responsibility. As long as you're an adult and you're on this life, 18 years and above, your healing is your responsibility. In fact, I, as a doctor, as a psychiatrist, I cannot help you. Because anyone that wants to come to me for therapy sessions must at least be ready to engage, must be motivated. So yes, we have to work together. Your healing is your responsibility. So enough of blaming people for what you've been through. Enough of saying, oh, I wish my parents did this. I wish. This is your life. This is you. Start taking responsibility for your own life. How are you doing today? So, thank God it's Friday, right? We give God the praise for a wonderful week. So, my name is Adeola Adeyemi. I'm a psychiatrist, a mental fitness coach, and the founder of Talk Mental Health. I welcome everyone to my live session today. So, please tell me your name and where you're joining from. I can say Miles Lucy, I can see Alaki Jakemi. Thank you for joining. Just tell me your name and where you're joining from. So today I want to talk about recovering from attachment trauma. I would like to talk more about that because I know that many a times we struggle in our relationships and we don't really understand why some of these things happen to us. And I see clients during my therapy sessions, and I realize that they have no clue as to why they act the way they do. And that's one of the reasons I decided to talk about recovering from attachment trauma. So let me pin the topic. Thank you for joining. I just want to know if you can hear me clearly. Oh, thank you. Miles Lucy from Kenya. Thank you for joining. Lucky Jakemi from Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you for joining. So I'm just meeting some of you here, but if you don't know me, I'm Adeola Adeyemi. I'm a psychiatrist. I'm the founder of Talk Mental Health. And if you're not following my page, please follow my page at talkmental.health, because I come on live to talk about mental health issues and a lot of things, benefits that you would gain by, following me and turning on your post notifications. And I offer services as well. I offer therapy services as a psychiatrist and a psychotherapist. I offer therapy services and, consultations and all of that. You can find details about all of this on my website, www.talkmentalhealth.org. And you can click the link in my bio, basically. So you just have all the details there. All right. So I'm just going to delve into today's topic, attachment trauma, how to deal with it, how to overcome it. I don't know if anyone is on this live that has noticed that sometimes when you find yourself in a relationship that is very, traumatizing, you know that this is not good for you, but you then get confused and you find it difficult to let go. Has this ever happened to you? It might not be occurring now. It might not be at the moment. It might just be something that has happened in the past, or it might still be going on in your life now. But I just want to know if anyone can relate with this topic that I'm about to talk about. So have you ever been in a relationship that it's clear cut that this person is not good for you and this person is really affecting you in a way and you find it difficult to let go? Has that ever happened to you? It has happened to me. I'm not going to lie. It has happened to me. I don't know if anyone has ever experienced that before, but let me know. I want to know if you've ever experienced that before. You are in a relationship and you find it difficult. You know the relationship is not good for you, but because of one reason or the other, you keep giving the person excuses and saying that, oh, you manage. Oh, thank you, Victoria, for saying that. Yes, because I know it happens a lot. I know so many people get into my DM telling me about their relationship issues. I've seen a lot of people on my therapy sessions, my clients, and I know how they struggle in their relationship. And I wonder if we are able to understand. Hi, Sandy, I can see you. If we're able to understand the reasons why we act the way we do. Perhaps we start to understand, we start to get clearer view, good perception of things, and healing might be easy for us. It makes a lot of sense, because what I'm about to talk about today is attachment trauma. And I know a lot of us must have heard of the word attachment before. Of course, it's an English word. But psychologically, attachment is it's defined as more like an emotional relationship between a child and a caregiver. Emotional relationship between a child and a caregiver. So a caregiver being a primary caregiver. Excuse me. A caregiver being a primary caregiver. So it's not about the mother. So it's not necessarily a child doesn't have to necessarily be attached to his or her mom. So the primary caregiver could be anybody, as long as the caregiving is consistent, as long as the caregiving is good quality, then the person is considered the primary caregiver. It could be the other way around too. The person that is present there, whether the person is being abusive towards the child, as long as the person is the same person, that person is considered the primary caregiver of the child. So attachment is what goes on, during that formative years of a child, between a child and their primary caregiver. And whenever we have good attachment, if I may say, it's all about the relation, more like an exchange. So it's both ways, like between myself and my child, and my child and myself. I mean, it has to be an exchange. You love me, I love you. I give you care, you give me care. You enjoy being by my side. The pleasure, there's an exchange of pleasure, of joy, of peace. And that's what really forms good attachment between a child and their caregiver. But unfortunately, we live in this part of the world where, parenting is seen as, being disciplining a child. You have to discipline the child, giving, harsh, if I may say, harsh parenting style is what is popular. When we grew up, when we're growing up, I guess things are changing now. People are beginning to understand and, try to create a balance. But most people, I don't know if anyone has experienced something different. We experience more like strict parenting style, if I may say, whereby you have to do what your parents have asked you to do. It has to be done in a particular way. And unfortunately, some of us also grew up from a very from homes that we have middle class or even low socioeconomic status rather, whereby being able to cater to the needs of a child in terms of basic needs, food, water, shelter, was very difficult. So I want to know if I'm making sense. If I'm making sense, let me know, because I don't want it to be as if I'm the one just saying some things. Perhaps, do you understand what I'm saying? I mean, does it make sense to you? Because these are the factors, or these are the things that usually, come together to make a child experience attachment trauma. Because it's what happens during that formative years. Let's say between 1 and 6 to 7 years. So if you have a very dysfunctional home, even if your home is okay, yes, there's love, there's care, there's everything you want. But in terms of basic needs, being able to feed, being able to wear good clothes, like every of your friends, attending parties with your friends. Perhaps you couldn't go because your parents couldn't afford to buy you the good clothes. So those are the things that usually counts as trauma in a child. I mean, when I'm talking about trauma, I am saying that, this child was sexually abused, because trauma is not limited to physical and sexual abuse. Let me say that again. Trauma is not limited to physical and sexual abuse. Sometimes it's just about a child, not being able to connect with the caregiver. There's neglect. There's absence. Some parents, some children were so unlucky they had absent fathers or absent mothers. Yes, the money was there, but they didn't get all of that. So there's emotional abuse. There's lack of connection. So I don't know. Is anyone on this live, following me? What I'm saying in essence is that when I'm talking about attachment trauma, I'm talking about trauma you might have experienced in childhood. It doesn't have to be something huge. Something as simple as getting consistent critical comments from someone that you looked up to, someone that is supposed to love and protect you, but you keep getting these negative comments all the time. Not because they had the bad intention, they didn't have the intention to hurt you. They thought they were trying to correct you or, be strict with you. But then that formed your reality, like, okay, so there's nothing good about me. So you develop a sense of self that is low just because you've had critical comments over and over again. It was, of course, it might have been out of love, out of, the intention to discipline you and make you be a better person. But then the way you processed it was different. So I'm not here to invalidate anyone's feelings. I'm here to say that trauma is what you say it is. It is what you say it is. So someone might go through physical abuse and still able to, to cope. So they're able to develop thick skin and they come out of it great, fine. Other people would go through something like just a critical comment and it affects them badly. Like they break down, they have low self-esteem, lack of confidence and all of that. And that could lead to attachment trauma in them. So that's my point here. So I'm here to say it's not limited to physical or sexual abuse. It is what you say it is. Whatever it is that you've experienced as a child, you know what you have felt as a child, even in your teenage years and all of that. It is your experience. So that another person is carrying it in a good way doesn't mean that it's not heavy. It is your experience. It is what you say it is. So I just want to make that clear, if that makes sense. So, but then, I understand that we are brought up in, different backgrounds and all of that. But it still stands, if you're from an African, African, of African origin, if you're of African origin, you would understand that this is how it is. And we have learned to just accept it. We learn to move on. But the thing is that we never knew that these things have affected us. It has damaged us in a way, if I may say. We've accepted it, but then why is it that we struggle in our relationships? Why have you ever thought about it? That why do I act the way I do? Why can't I trust people? Why am I suspicious of people? Why is it that I'm always trying to be perfect? Why do I fear rejection? Why is it that I'm always thinking before I do so many things? Like you have to think and think and think and be sure it's going to be good before you go about it. Are you sure that is your real person? Or perhaps you have experienced some things during your childhood that has, made you adapt this kind of lifestyle for you to be able to survive and cope with life? Because that's what our brain does. When you go through trauma, your brain would automatically try to adapt so you can survive. So yes, these adaptive behaviors might not be good because it might not always be good. Because, for instance, someone trying to be perfect all the time, just because you're afraid not to be rejected, you're afraid of rejection, you're afraid of criticism, so you have to get things done perfectly. You know what that does? It means that you're putting in too much effort into stuff, not understanding that no matter what you do, some other people might be better than you. So if you had done putting a lot of effort into something, and someone now comes and say, oh, I have a better idea, you know what that would do to you? It will break you. So you feel low in yourself, you lose self-confidence, you have low self-esteem. I can imagine a lot of negative emotions that might come just because you have decided to always project yourself as perfect. So that's my point. Sometimes we have to take a step back and think, why do I act the way I do? Is this the real me? Or is it that I have experienced some trauma in the past, or some critical comments, or I've been through some relational issues in the past that have formed my behavior, the things that I'm trying to do now? I'm trying to protect myself, hiding from rejection, the fear of not being good to people and all of that. And because of that, you don't want that, then you start to, try to be perfect. I don't know if that makes sense, or if anyone can relate to what I'm saying on this live. Does that make sense? So now I'm going to move on to the causes of attachment trauma. So I think I hope I have defined what attachment trauma is. So I think I defined attachments. Yes, the relationship between a child and the primary caregiver. So the trauma would now be that when there is a problem with that relationship. So when there is a problem with the relationship you develop with the caregiver, when there is a problem with the relationship a child develops with the primary caregiver, so there's a disruption, there's a problem, whatever it says at any point, especially during the formative years, then it becomes attachment trauma. Thank you. All right, so it's making a lot of sense. Fantastic. Okay, so what can cause this? So I know that I've mentioned a few things. Yes, critical comments from loved ones, people that are meant to protect you, always talking down on you, making you feel bad about yourself. Yes, and I know that you have developed thick skin to this thing, but have you actually healed from all those critical comments? Have you? So let's talk about the causes. I'm going to deal with some. I think some of these courses are things that are familiar. People know about it. So these are specific courses like, yes, this is obvious. It would cause it. And if any one of you on this live, or if you're watching the replay, whether on my IG page or on my YouTube channel, just make sure that if you have gone through any of all of this, don't say that I've moved on. Make sure you get to the root of it and heal from this trauma. Because there's nothing like, oh, I have moved on. You have probably repressed the emotions, it's in your unconscious, and whether you like it or not, it's affecting the way you do things. It's affecting your relationships, the way you think, the way you feel, the way you behave. So I'm going to mention like about 5 or 6, yeah. So the first thing I want to mention is separation, divorce, domestic violence. So if you're from like a dysfunctional home, whereby you encounter a lot of abuse in terms of domestic violence, it might not necessarily be directed to you, but it might just be that you have observed it, you watched your mother being abused or your father being abused every now and again, you got a lot of critical comments to yourself as well during the process. Then you can't just say that you are okay, you have moved on. You can't even pray it over. You have to sit down and reflect and be sure you're actually going through healing. Sometimes you would have to actually need to go through therapy just so you can properly heal from this. What I have noticed that we do most of the time is that we repress our feelings. We say, oh, I'm better, I'm being positive. Yes, I'm not saying it's not good to be positive. In fact, I am a minister of positivity, so I always preach positivity. But there are times that you need to actually bring out those repressed feelings, those repressed emotions, so you can properly heal. Because if you don't do, they will still be there. All you need is a trigger, a big stressor, something to happen that will bring out all those repressed emotions, and they will come to the fore. And that's why some people, maybe in their during their midlife, they have midlife crisis, or in their 30s or in their 40s, they come down with depression, anxiety disorders for the first time in their life, and it will be like, oh, this person has been doing well, so why are you coming with depression now? Your life is good now. It might just be because you did not heal from some of the trauma you experienced during childhood. So back to the courses, I've mentioned separation, divorce, domestic violence. Anything that affects the stability of a child is not good. Anything that affects the stability of a child, even as an adult, is not easy now. I mean, just imagine disrupting your normal everyday life in a significant way. It's going to affect you, even you as the person that is in the relationship. So let alone a child that now has always loved to be in a family where there is love. Everybody will come to their school, they'll bring their parent, their dad will come or their mom will come for their event, and now it has to just be they have to be with their mom, either their mom or their dad. So it's something traumatic. Don't just neglect the child, or you don't neglect yourself. If this has happened to you in the past, retrace back your steps and if you've not gone through therapy, or you need to do that. So don't say I'm doing well. You need to do that. Yes, it will always be there, and that's perhaps one of the reasons why you've noticed you have mood swings. Sometimes some people would have mood swings, you become irritable, and then you notice that you're trying to protect yourself, guard yourself, and you're avoiding being committed to relationships. Even if you're in a relationship, to trust your partner is difficult. Like, I can't trust my partner. I mean, you have to double check and check. I hope he's not cheating on me. I hope she's not cheating on me. So there shouldn't be things like, I mean, it's not normal, if I may say. It is not normal. So if you're always paranoid, always suspicious of your spouse, of your partner, of your boyfriend, or whoever it is you're in a relationship with, of your friends, it isn't normal. There's a reason why that is so. And don't say this is me. It is not you, my dear. It is not you. You have to get to the root of this. Why am I doing this? Is it because of all that I went through as a child? You need to get to the root of it and start to heal. In fact, the first step is understanding why. So the more immediately you're able to understand, it brings the emotions back to the back to the conscious level. I mean, you're able to see it. You're aware. So that's self-awareness alone is like 50% healing, because it begins to make sense to you, and then you take it from there. So that's it. Another thing is any loss in family. Going back to the courses now. So if you've experienced any kind of loss in the family, I'm so sorry if you're on this live or you're watching the replay and you've experienced any loss or even gone through domestic violence as a child. But I just want you to understand that yes, you might have been through all of that as a child. Yes, you might have been through even domestic relationship, domestic violence or toxic relationship in your present or past relationship or recent relationships. But I want you to know that you can't continue to blame anyone for what you've been through. I know it's difficult. I understand that it's hard for you, but you can't continue to blame anyone. Your healing is your responsibility. As long as you're an adult and you're on this life, 18 years and above, your healing is your responsibility. In fact, I, as a doctor, as a psychiatrist, I cannot help you. Because anyone that wants to come to me for therapy sessions must at least be ready to engage, must be motivated. So yes, we have to work together. Your healing is your responsibility. So enough of blaming people for what you've been through. Enough of saying, oh, I wish my parents did this. I wish. This is your life. This is you. Start taking responsibility for your own life now. So I just thought to drop that before I continue with the courses. So yes, fantastic. Thank you everyone for joining again. Loss in family, significant loss of parents, loss of sibling. In fact, loss of material things too. So for instance, someone that has always had it very good, great family, you have money, you have all that you need, and then all of a sudden there's something happens, maybe during the economic recession or something, your dad has lost his job and your mom can't, loss could come in any form. So when I'm talking about loss, it is not only about losing someone. Excuse me. So it's not only about death. So I'm talking about any kind of loss. It might just be loss of job, loss of relationship, or loss of, So any kind of loss like that can also affect this. All right. Sorry. So are you following me? Does it make sense? Does it make sense? Does it make sense? Excuse me. All right. Physical abuse, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, all of these things can affect a child. Can cause attachment trauma. So I think I need to take water. 1 minute, guys. Okay, I'm back. So, thank you. So I said physical abuse, verbal abuse, emotional abuse. And when I'm talking about abuse, I said trauma is not limited to physical or sexual abuse only. So it could be emotional abuse, neglect, not being there. Do you get? Not being there for a child and all of that. Neglect of basic needs and all. So those are the things that could cause attachment trauma. And one thing is about the brain is that once you have experienced a traumatic, you've had a traumatic experience, and there's no proper healing from there. It's just like you have wound on your hand, and the wound has not healed. So what happens when another wound, when you hit the place again, then it's easier for the wound to break down, right? Does that make sense? So yes, I have my palm on here, and then I have a cut. Maybe I was cutting something and I cut my hand, but it hasn't healed properly. So what now happens? Another time I'm trying to cut and then I cut. Most likely the wound will get worse, right? It's going to get bad, right? So that's it. Once you have experienced trauma and you don't go through the healing process, what happens is that you have the risk of coming down with another trauma. I mean, and the next time you're exposed to trauma, the effect will be more significant. It will be worse than the first time. It will be worse than the first time. So that's why it's important to heal. So when I'm talking about healing, when I'm saying go through therapy, when I'm saying invest in your mental health, I know what I'm saying. I know what I'm talking about. I know that it's going to go a long way to help you. You know what you tend to gain when you go through therapy and heal from all your painful past experiences. What you tend to gain is that you have you'll be able to form good relationship with people, healthy relationship with people. It could be romantic relationship, it could be work relationship. Just imagine at work and you're able to form good relationship with people. You know that you can make a lot of millions even from the connections you have with people. So it is not only about emotional or love relationship or romantic relationship, work relationship, relating with friends and all. It just takes one person to be in a place where you need help. And that person will just mention that your name, that, oh, this person I think will be able, just because you've decided to go through therapy and you are fine, you're able to connect with people well. So they can trust you, you can trust them. They can, entrust a lot of jobs and contracts into your hands and know that you can deliver. So I know what I'm saying when I say invest in your mental health, go through therapy, make sure that you heal from all of these traumatic experiences, just because I know it's going to help you. Anyways, let's go back to the symptoms. What are the symptoms of or perhaps I should just mention the 4 types of attachment. So there are 4 types of attachment according to John Bowlby. So we have the secure attachment, we have the anxious or ambivalent attachment, we have the avoidant and disorganized. So secure is the good one, of course, from the name. So secure attachment means that you're okay. So as a child, the mother goes away and the child starts to cry. Have you ever experienced that before? Of course, we all know that when your child is still small and about the age of 12 months, the child wants to be with the mother. So then the child, when the mother leaves, the child cries, but then another person pacifies the child, right? And when the mother comes back, the child is excited. Hey, mommy is back. The child will hug the mother. So it doesn't start at once. It starts gradually. So as the child grows older, the child will stop crying, right? So that means the child has been able to form a good attachment. The child knows that, okay, mommy goes out at this time and comes back. Mommy has proven to me that anytime she goes out, she's able to come back home to me. So the child is no longer scared that mommy is living forever, like the child would have thought when the child was much younger. I don't know if I'm making sense. So just translate that to an adult. So in a relationship, the reason why some people cling, they don't want to let go, they have trust issues, they have paranoid, they're so suspicious, is because they have trauma in their childhood when relating to their attachment. So they are not able to trust that when this person leaves, the person will come back to me. Just like a child, the analogy I just gave now about a child. So they are not able to say that, oh, when my partner leaves, he's coming back to me. So they're very suspicious, checking phones, monitoring, trailing the person, calling the person. Are you there? Are you sure? Who is with you? And blah, blah, blah. I don't know if I'm making a lot of sense. So that's it. So we have secure, we have ambivalent or anxious, we have avoidance, and we have disorganized. See, of all these 4, we have one is the good one, the secure attachments. The secure attachment is the good one. The other 3 are not so good. But the good thing is that the other 3 you can heal and get better and become secure. All right, you can heal from being anxious, being avoidant, and being disorganized. So anxious meaning that you're unable to you're reluctant to go into a relationship, and at the same time when you got into the relationship you become very clingy, very dependent, and when the relationship is over you become distressed. You can't handle it. So what's it called? The avoidance means that the person would even avoid intimacy. They can't trust people. They don't want to be in any relationship. And disorganized is just a bit of both. So it's a bit of anxious and avoidance. But like I said, secure is the best. Secure is the good one. Let's all aim for the secure one. Anyways, now let me talk about the symptoms of attachment trauma. Have you ever wondered why you act the way you do? Have you ever come to think about it? Why am I always trying to be perfect? Perhaps the reason you're trying to be perfect is because you're afraid of rejection. I don't want to be criticized. I don't want to be, rejected. So I need to give my best, put in my best into what I'm doing. Or have you ever thought about why you hold on to relationships, being unable to let go of relationships, saying that, oh, this is, I must be there. You're so dependent on people. Have you ever wondered why you find it difficult to see the good in yourself? And it's easy to idolize and idealize people like, oh, this person is the best, this person is that, but you never see the good in you. All of these are because of attachment trauma. These are symptoms and signs of attachment trauma. So you have fear of rejection, you have fear of abandonment, you're too clingy in relationships, right? You have fear of commitment. So that's like opposite, right? So it could be either you're afraid to commit, or you're afraid you're afraid of rejection. You're afraid to commit, or you're afraid of rejection. So you cling. You hold on to the relationship like your life depends on it, even when it's so obvious that this person is not good for you. Am I making sense? I see a lot of people joined. I just want to know if this makes sense to you, and if you can relate with what I'm saying. If you can relate with what I'm saying. So sometimes we avoid conflict, and I wonder why. We avoid conflicts just because we want to be at peace with all men, right? That's what the Bible says, be at peace with all men. So we avoid conflicts. Like, I don't want conflict. But the truth is that sometimes you have to fight so you can agree. You have to disagree to agree. That's the word, disagree to agree. All right. So when you notice that you're trying to avoid conflict, you're not being good. Don't say that I'm following the word of God. God has been, that's what God says, or that's the right thing to do. No. You have to be able to handle conflict resolutions, no, and all of those. So if you notice that you are trying to avoid conflict, you're trying to, you have this desperate need for approval. Like, yes, I need to be validated. I need a validation. Every time you always checking, is it good? Do you like it? Am I okay? Is it perfect? Then there's something wrong. Something is wrong. I'm not saying you shouldn't of course, we are humans, and we love social interaction. We are social animals. And of course, some people are in our lives that need to validate us. Yes, that's allowed. But I'm saying desperate need for approval. Like, am I doing the right thing? Every now and again, you're always checking on people. Are you sure I've done this? When the person, or you go to another person. No, that means you don't believe in yourself. It shows that you lack good self-esteem. You don't have good confidence in yourself. And that might be as a result of some trauma that you might have experienced as a child. Okay, so now let me move on as I wrap up, because I've seen a lot of people joining. If you're just joining, I've said a lot of things. I've been on this live for 30 minutes. Please watch the replay, and I would appreciate your feedback once I put this on my IGTV. Okay, so I'm going to talk about 3 things with regards to recovering from this. So I'm not just here to give you, all the problems and not provide solution. Okay. Anyways, don't forget that if you need my help, reach out to me via my DM. Reach out to me via my website, www.talkmentalhealth.org, or you can send me a DM, at talkmental.health. All right. So I'm going to talk about 3S. If anyone is typing, please help me type. So those are the treatments that I'm going to be talking about, more like treatments or more like how to recover. But then before I talk about these 3S, I just need you to know that recovery is not linear. Healing is not a straight journey. It's not linear. It's not something that you should expect to happen drastically. So yes, there will be times that you would get better and then you go down, get better, down, get better, down, and again and again. So it's not a linear, it's more like you just have to follow the process, continue, take it one step at a time, get better, move on. And as you go ahead, be gentle on yourself, be compassionate with yourself. I mean, that's how to go about it. And you will be shocked at the improvement you would have made in, let's say, 2 years' time if you continue with what I'm going to talk about now. So 3S, yeah. Thank you, Ololade. All glammed up, yes, thank you. So 3S, the first one is self-awareness, be self-aware. What do I mean by self-aware? I told you that all these emotions are repressed, and it's just how the way our body tries to protect us. We call them defense mechanism. So our body is trying to defend us, and all the trauma you experienced as a child, your body helped your brain and your body and your mind. It helped you to push it into your sub or unconscious mind, not subconscious, unconscious mind. It pushed it in there just so that you are not aware of it. It's a way of protecting you. But my dear, the thing is that these emotions, they have a way of sleeping out. They will keep coming out gradually in form of your behavior, in form of the things you do. In fact, the way you think, it's just there, but then it's coming gradually, more like it's seeping out gradually. So you have to bring it out, bring everything out through self-awareness. Thank you. Through self-awareness, bring this thing out. Let's know it. Yes, when it's painful, you will definitely cry. I've been in therapy and I know how my clients would cry when they are talking about these painful experiences. Yes, it's part of the healing. Yes, you will cry. It will come. You will have to bring. So that's what starts your healing. Once you're able to bring it out into this conscious, your conscious or even subconscious or conscious level, and you're aware of it, then it starts to make sense to you that, oh, this is it. Oh, and that's where the healing starts. The second S is self-compassion. Self-compassion. You have to be compassionate with yourself. Self-compassion. All right. I mean, I know that when these thoughts would come to you, when the emotions come to you, remember the things you did right, the things you didn't do right, why you did something. You have to be compassionate with yourself as you go. You have to be compassionate with yourself as you go. You have to be gentle on yourself. You have to learn to forgive yourself. Excuse me. You have to learn to forgive yourself. You have to learn to let go of some things you can't change. And you have to learn to move on. That's how it works. Self-compassion. That's the second thing. All right? So I don't know who is writing. Yeah. And the third one, who is typing rather. And the third thing you need to do, the third S, is self-help. Self-help. So just because I wanted to have that acronym 3S, I decided to make it self-help. But in actual sense, I just want to talk about therapy. Sometimes you have to go through therapy. Go through therapy with someone that would make it make sense to you. Like, let the person help you bring it out. Let it make sense to me. Bring it out. Self-help means, we have some self-help groups, self-help, therapy, self-help, CBT and all. And I'm talking about therapy. Get the help you need. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Gone are the days when you think therapy is for those with mental health disorders. Like, oh yes, the person has depression. It's only for those who have anxiety disorders, who have schizophrenia. No. Therapy is for everyone. I have been through therapy before, and I am still going through therapy. I am not afraid. I am not ashamed to say it. Because therapy is for everyone. I mean, we go for a physical health check. I wonder why we think therapy it's only for those with mental health. When you go for your physical health check, is it because you have diabetes or because you have hypertension? It's not because of that. You just go there to check yourself and see if you're okay. You go to your dentist every 6 months just to get yourself checked, not necessarily because you have a disorder. So it's not only it's for everyone. Thank you, Odoayo. It's for everyone. Engage in therapy. Get the help you need. Let the person help you let it make sense to you. I mean, therapy is for Everyone. Even me, I go through therapy. I wonder how we survived without therapy during childhood. I mean, no wonder you can see the products. You can see the kind of adults we have now in our society, right? I mean, the way they think, the way people are very aggressive and all of that. If we go to therapy, we'll be able to overcome all of this trauma that we might have experienced during childhood and that is now translating to our behavior now. So that's it about what I want to talk about today. I don't know if anyone has questions or comments. I see you all. Thank you all for joining. But don't forget these 3 S that I've talked about. Self-aware, self-compassion, self-help. Self-awareness, self-compassion, self-help. Never forget that. If you need my help, you know I'm available, right? You know where to get me. Anyways, for those who don't know, make sure you follow me if you're not following me at talkmental.health. And if you need my help, go to my website or link in my bio. My website is www.talkmentalhealth.org. Okay, so do you have any question, any comments, anything you would like me to clarify? Anything you'd like me to clarify? I just want to assure you that, I don't know, this might be for just one person or anyone watching this. I just want you to know that help is available. Don't give up on life. Don't give up on life. Life is beautiful. It depends on how you see it. Yes, you might be going through something very distressing at the moment, but you'll be surprised at how you would feel tomorrow or the day after if you can only get the right help. Get the help you need and let someone else, make it make sense to you. I mean, let you start to see things in a different perspective. It's a game changer. It's going to help you. So don't give up on life yet. Don't say that's how my life would be. That's the end of the world for me. No. Things get better. Things definitely would get better. All right. So thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Olade. Yeah. Therapy works. Thank you, Barbara, for joining. Thank you, Odoayo. Thank you, Kid Nation. Thank you, Biscakes. Joseph, I see you all and I appreciate you. I think that will be the end for today. If you have the question, don't forget to be intentional about your mental health. Bye, everyone. Yeah. Thank you, Il with Nimi. Thank you for that. Thank you for staying to the end of the live session. If you're just joining, make sure you go and watch the replay. And please, I am begging that you should drop your comments on my IGTV. Once I drop this, it's going to show on my feed. And please drop this wonderful comment you're putting. Thank you for sharing. Awesome delivery and impactful. Thank you very much. I learned a lot from this live. Therapy is for everyone. Thank you for sharing. All these amazing comments you're dropping here, I need it. You need to drop it on my IGTV. All right? So, and also on my YouTube channel if you're going to watch the replay there. Bye.